Welcome to Building the Future. I'm your host, Kevin Horick. You can check out new episodes of the show every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. If you missed an episode or want to get more information about the show, please visit buildingthefutureshow.com. I'm also going to be at the Business Rocks Tech, Music, and Investment Summit recording shows live in Manchester, England, April 21st and 22nd, where Steve Wozniak is headlining. More information about the summit is on the show website at buildingthefutureshow.com. Welcome back to the show. Today we have Ben Engel-Kacen, founder and CEO of Planet of the Apps. Ben, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. I think what you guys are doing is very cool and it's kind of interesting, and I think you guys have a lot of knowledge to kind of share. But maybe before we kind of get into covering exactly what Planet of the Apps is, let's get to know you a little bit better and kind of cover your background and maybe where you grew up.
So I'm an Israeli. You can hear my accent. I was born and raised in Tel Aviv, Israel, except for several years where I grew up in South Africa, but most of my life I lived in Tel Aviv.
Okay, so what made you go to South Africa for a period of time?
My parents were sender by their company for several years.
Got you. Okay, and then what made you go back? Just, again, your parents moving?
Yeah, it wasn't under my decision. I was a small kid.
Sure. So I'm curious then, what did you kind of, growing up, what kind of got you passionate about getting into technology?
So, for a starter, I'm tech savvy. Okay. I try new technologies, new gadgets all the time. I'm an early adopter, as you know, marketers say.
Sure.
I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and like most of my generation, I experienced the merge of the computer era, the beginning of the internet, and the different waves of gadgets and games. You remember, like the Discman, the Game Boy.
My mom just actually found my original Game Boy in the basement, and I took it home. I've yet to fire it back up, but I'm sure it still works. So I'm excited to just play with it again, even as an adult.
So I keep all my gadgets in home in boxes that one day I will open a small museum for myself and show my kids.
That's awesome. So I'm curious then, how did you kind of did you go to university, and what did you take in university?
So yeah, I went to college next to Tel Aviv. It's called the IDC in Herzliya, the IDC in Herzliya.
Okay.
Where I went to the Zell Entrepreneurship Program, Zell from Chicago, where I reconnected with my childhood friend Yair, who is also my partner in Planet of the Apps. So, but before going to university, to college, I'm sorry, I need to cut this after, but
it's all good.
Okay. Before going into college, I went to the Navy, because in Israel it's compulsory to go to do a military service.
Okay, so how long were you in the military?
I joined the Navy and went to the Naval Academy and volunteered to be a submarine officer, where I served almost 7 years. This is where my first real exposure to what is real high tech.
Sure.
And this gave me the encouragement and to pursue a career in high tech after my military service and college.
So what was it about being in the Navy that kind of you really decided? Was there a defining kind of moment where you're like, oh my God, I gotta just get into this industry?
I don't think there's a really defining moment. In Israel, I won't say it's very common, but there are a lot of people around of my friends who went into high tech industry and startup. It's quite a regular path, moving from the military to the university and then pursuing a career in high tech. But the fact that I was in a very complex machine that gave me let's say enlightened the passion to go to high tech.
Interesting. Okay, so you were in the Navy, then you went to university. What did you end up doing after you graduated university?
So after a very, very short career in strategic consulting, I joined PowerMat, which creates wireless charging capabilities,
Totally know that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very cool.
and I worked closely with the founder and CEO Ran Polyakin,
Okay.
who later took me to his venture creation group, Profiscope, to go and work with him there. And a part of the group, I founded Planet of the Apps.
Okay. So what exactly is Planet of the Apps and what was the idea behind kind of founding that?
So I did mention I went to I was a kid in the 80s and the 90s and all the video games era. And the fact that I was in the submarine, in a way, it's like a very big game, okay?
Interesting. Yeah, sure.
And I was, I'm always loved games. And me and my partner Yair, who I mentioned that I met back in school, we decided to open this game studio, which is first of all based next to Jerusalem, which is quite unique. Most of the game studios in Israel based are in Tel Aviv area.
Okay.
And we are a full stack game studio. And what makes us unique is the combination of our portfolio as a product business model and the fact that we're doing everything in house. We're a full stack operation model.
Okay. So how big is your team then?
We're 12 people, ranging from designers, developers, marketing, monetization people, and of course, business development.
Okay. So I guess like what was the like what got you kind of deciding, well, I just want to start this instead of kind of going to work at maybe another game studio?
I think that it's a part of the fact that I wanted to do something different
Okay.
because our organization, Yair and I, decided to create an organization that is nothing, that is not resembled to other places. It's a very flat organization. We encourage creativity, encourage the team members to bring ideas and bring them to life because only by self-fulfillment we create great games that our users will love as well.
Sure. No, that's interesting because I played a bunch of your games and they're very well done. I love the artwork. They're very addicting, and it's interesting because what kind of got me fascinated about what you guys are doing is there's so many people doing, obviously kind of stuff in the Android iOS space, and a lot of people are struggling, and you guys have seemed to do not only really well, but you guys are getting noticed. You constantly get featured kind of in the different app stores and whatnot. And so I kind of just wanted to have a conversation with you guys to kind of, learn a little bit about kind of exactly what you guys do and kind of how you guys go about doing that. But maybe let's step back a little bit and kind of cover how exactly do you guys kind of come up with a game concept?
Um, Game concept, like I said, we encourage each of the staff members to bring new ideas. But
Okay,
the challenge is, like I said, is not the ideas, it's the execution of the ideas.
sure.
And the ideas come from everywhere. It might sound like a cliche, but it really comes from everywhere. From the how the items are organized on your desk to how when you're trying to get into a traffic circle. Everything is a game. But the challenge is to bring it into the small screen and to make it fun enough that the user will come back and tell their friends.
Sure. So do you just basically how do you guys submit like okay, you have the whole team kind of coming up with ideas, but how do you submit an idea to the rest of the team and then how do you kind of go about deciding which idea you're going to, actually turn into a game?
So as a first step, once we think an idea is compelling enough, we build a
Sure.
prototype, a
Okay.
small prototype, and we try and we run it by our team members, the rest of the team members, and by a selected few members of the community. We have a very, very close community. And this stage serves as a pre-alpha or an alpha stage.
Okay.
And it gives us the tools to decide whether we're going to take this game to full production,
Okay.
to just kill it and go into the next game. And throughout the production cycle, once it's going to a full production cycle, we work very closely with our community of beta testers and get their feedback all the time in order to create the best game possible to the users.
Okay, interesting. So I'm curious, like how much effort put into kind of a prototype, do you have your like illustrators and whatever come up with like rough characters, or how far do you kind of take the actual prototype?
So first of all, the prototype is done on a whiteboard. You just play
Okay.
the game like you play every game, and you see if there's something that you can play with. And then
Got you.
it depends. Sometimes we do an actual prototype on different programs. Usually it takes us between 1 day to 2 days, and then we just release it to different devices and play with them.
Interesting. Okay, so do you usually start with Android or iOS first, or does it depend kind of on the type of game you're building?
It depends on the type of game and the developer who executed. Some of the developers prefer iOS, some of the developers prefers Android. So it's
Got you. So you have dedicated Android team and a dedicated iOS team?
No, just some of them knows because we develop actually on Unity. I don't know
Oh, okay. That was going to be my next question.
exactly.
Okay.
We develop with Unity, and it allows us cross promotion capability, cross platform capabilities.
Sure.
But some of the developers prefer just to export it to iOS and some to Android.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so you build like a version. You start running it kind of internally and externally. How do you decide who you give it to outside of the team to kind of validate the idea?
So I did mention our community, and within this community, we have a very, very selected community members
Okay.
who really appreciate their thoughts and ideas, and those are the ones who usually we share the games with.
Okay, so how do you kind of decide who's part of this special community of people that get these kind of early versions of these games?
I guess it's like friendship, if you meet someone new, you won't tell him all your secrets immediately. You need to develop a special bond in a way, because it's not just someone from the street. We know them for a while, and it's a trust issue. They trust
Got
us,
you.
and we trust them.
Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm curious then. So you get you test it internally into a select group of people, and then how do you go about? What's kind of the next steps? Do you basically get their feedback, put it back into the prototype, or how does that kind of work?
So yes, most definitely, we get their feedback to the prototype, and then if we decide to take it to full production,
Okay.
we're adding more community members to take part of the process, and we get their feedback on the fly, and we're improving the game all the time. Of course, we're getting feedback for the rest of the team until we have a fully polished game that is ready to be marketed to the rest of the world.
Sure. So how I get depending on how complex the game is and whatnot, but roughly how long does it take you guys to go from kind of the prototype to being ready for production?
Like you said, it depends. It depends on the size of the game. There are games that we can produce in really several weeks, and there are games that we produce in several months. Sometimes you understand that you have a very good thing in your head after 2 weeks, and then you just keep polishing it until it's perfect.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. Is there kind of a minimum amount of time? Like, is it usually you can do it in like 2 weeks as like a bare minimum, or is it kind of, it really just depends?
It really just depends.
Okay.
There are games that are not involved with so many characters and animation, and it's just a very, very smart gameplay. And sometimes very smart gameplay doesn't require a long production of time, a long production cycle.
Sure. Okay. No, that makes sense. So I'm kind of curious. So you have this thing, it's done. Kind of, at what point do you really start kind of marketing this thing? Do you do it kind of before the game launches, kind of after? At what point do you guys kind of start marketing these things?
So we soft launch the games usually in selected countries.
Okay.
And we check. This is the point. All the numbers are starting to kick in. As I said, we are managing a portfolio of games, and all the games are interconnected to a central hub that we've built. We call it the cockpit. It's a place
Okay.
where all the games are controlled from the server, and we get all the different data into one place. And there we check all the retention rates, the stickiness of the games, how well is it monetized, and then we decide whether to go to full launch immediately or to improve the game and then go to full launch.
So you collect a bunch of data. Is there specific countries that you guys launch in, kind of in this kind of beta soft launch thing, or does it really depend on the type of game, and then you pick the countries you're going to launch that type of game in first?
It depends. It really depends on the type of the game and try to match the specific game to a specific country at the beginning, at least.
Yeah, no, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so, at what point how long do you kind of do this round of kind of the soft launch before you decide to launch the game, or does it really depend on how well the game's received or not received?
We usually try to have at least several weeks of soft launch in order to collect enough data and take
Okay.
and take good decisions.
Okay, and then you go back and refine what you need to refine and then launch to the rest of the world?
Hopefully not. Hopefully that we hope that we nailed it on the first round, but usually we need to take another round and relaunch it worldwide.
Okay, but that's not too bad. Like I think that's a really good process actually, and I love the idea that you're getting it in the hands of people as early as possible, and then even when you have you think you have a production ready version, you just roll it out to certain select countries that you think the game will do well and get you the best kind of feedback. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, that's awesome. So, okay, so you launch this thing to the world. What do you guys do to market this thing? Because the space is quite crowded nowadays. There's lots of people, right, doing this stuff. So how do you guys kind of go about marketing this thing?
So we use a combination of methods, but at the end of the day, it's again all about the users, because the users are the one who decide whether the game will succeed or not. It's amazing that our last 6 games were featured by Apple, but eventually, if the user will not love the games, they will not tell their friends about the games and will not spread around. And in addition, influencers on YouTube or different reviewers and bloggers and people like you, Kevin, you are the one who make the change in addition to the users. And a lot of marketing efforts right now go towards building this community. We want to build our own ambassadors of loyal users and to build this very, very close relationship with them. And obviously, all of those efforts are coupled with very strong user acquisition efforts.
Sure. No, that's actually really good advice for people out there, that you guys are almost like targeting different types of people that can almost like help promote your game, because you're right. If somebody likes something, they will tell their friends and whatnot. And that makes a lot of sense. And you mentioned your last few games have been featured by Apple. Is that I know that's kind of a mystery to some people. Do you have any insight on or tips on how you guys got kind of featured in that?
I think, again, it sounds like a cliche, but you really need to stay loyal to yourself, not to try and copy other studios or other games. We're trying to innovate with different gameplays, with different design, with different approach for the games, and we're trying to do everything as we believe it should. And we just send them and hope for the good. And for the time being, the people in Apple, saw that we're good enough to be featured, and we hope that it will continue.
Sure. No, I think that's awesome, and congrats on that, because that's actually really impressive that you guys, you did it more, like doing it once is impressive, but the fact that you've done it a handful of times is very impressive, and that's awesome. And you guys have, last time I checked, you have over 20 games now. Is that correct?
We have 25 games.
Yeah, wow. So
yeah, 25 games.
Maybe let's kind of, just for the listener out there that hasn't heard of you guys or hasn't played any of your games, do you maybe want to run through kind of a couple games that you guys have recently built. Just mention the name, kind of roughly the gameplay, and anything else you want to kind of talk about on, mention maybe 2 or 3 games and kind of what they're about and how you go about kind of playing them.
Yeah, first of all, you can find all our games if you type on your phone on Safari, iOS, or Chrome on the Android, playpoa.co, and it will send you directly to our portfolio in either the Google Play or the iTunes Store. But just a few of our recent releases, we have a Sticky Balls DX, which is a game where you control balls, and we need to separate them into 2 different balls and pass different obstacles. It sounds very easy. It's not easy at all, and it's very, very addicting.
I was actually playing that. I've been playing that the last, I don't know, couple of weeks, and like it is crazy addictive. Actually, I was playing it quite a bit the last little while.
I'm really glad you say that, because it's really, really, really addicting, much more than we expected.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like in some ways, I would almost compare it to like a Flappy Bird kind of addicting.
Yeah, it's. I want to have the addictiveness of Flappy Bird, but really in a different approach.
Sure. Well, the gameplay is different, but it's the
Yeah.
same kind of like addicting kind of thing, right?
Exactly that. Some of my team members don't like me to saying that, but I like to say that we're doing the number 1 games for number 2s, and
Interesting.
if you understand what I'm saying, and the rest of the listeners are understanding what I'm saying. In addition, we've released Planktons, which is a game where you play a plankton in the sea, and you need to avoid jellyfish. Sounds very cute and simple, but here again, a very, very addicting gameplay with a very new new and challenging control of the game. Or even we have a game called Major Tom Space Adventure.
Yes, I was also playing this one too.
And Major Tom is going to have a huge update, because after a long discussion with the community, we understood we need to do some major updates there. And we're going to have a huge, not a huge update, a very major update next week or the week after that. And in a way, it was released 2 weeks before David Bowie's death. And it wasn't planned like so, and for us it was in a way very special.
Sure.
We managed to release a game called Major Tom before his death. And in addition, our last game that was released is called Frenzy Ball, which is a very, very crazy game where it's a combination of Snake and Pong, and people from my age at least really appreciate this game.
Sure, that's awesome. No, so I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm kind of curious to get into, you guys kind of do the freemium or kind of in-app purchase type game. Do you want to maybe kind of talk about why you kind of decide to give kind of at least a bunch of the game away for free compared to just charging right out of the gate?
I think that we are in an era that people are expecting to get free stuff, but they know they have to pay for it by watching ads, and you can see it everywhere you go, right? I believe in let's say a quality quantity. Okay, I want my game to reach as many people as possible, and I want to deliver them the best experience possible. And I will never deliver a game that is disrespecting my users. All of my games are in high quality. All of our games are in very high quality, and for free. But I'm just asking very minor thing. Watch the videos. Watch the interstitials. This is how I make my money.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. And so, how's the feedback been on kind of that model? It seems to be working.
Yeah, they are the users who are complaining of too many ads. I don't know. They're expecting from game studios, not just us, all the game studios, to just produce games for free. But we need to make our money somehow, and this is how we make our money, from this, and of course, items that users are buying in the game.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. Like I think a lot of people don't realize how much time, effort go into building this stuff and supporting the new versions of the actual OS software on a yearly basis. And I think it makes a lot of sense that you guys need to keep monetizing these things, and it's kind of unfair for people to just pay 99 cents one time and expect it to work for the next like 5 years, right? It's unrealistic. It's just kind of weird that in the mobile space that people just expect this, right? Of like people like yourself.
No, it's logical, but I think that a, especially the young generation understand that this is the way the world works, the new world works, that you get something for free, but you need to pay for it by watching ads or doing something else for it.
Sure. You guys basically, you decided to go back to some of your previous games and do a bunch of major updates. Kind of, what was the real reason behind that? Did you got a bunch of user feedback? What was kind of the reason you decided to go back and add some new stuff to a bunch of games that you've released in the past?
It's exactly that. It's the feedback from the community. The community asked from us add more balls to sticky balls. The community suggested you can add more characters to planktons. The users are the ones who said you have a bug here, we have a problem there. You should do this and this. It would be very cool if the character will jump over the hill when he gets the ball in balls and holes, for instance.
Sure.
So and we really appreciate the community. They are the ones who are most important for us.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. So you probably get tons of requests in probably a bunch of your games. How do you go about deciding which kind of new features or additions to add, and which are kind of just like, that'd be nice, but we don't really have time for that right now?
It's exactly that. We have a list of features, and then we see how much time it will take us to develop it, to what extent the users will enjoy it. Will it help to the overall game? Could it maybe help to other of our games? Could it be something that we can utilize to more than one game? And then we think together, the technical team, and the marketing team, and the design team, and we think what will do best for the game and which feature will be added. And I should mention, we give full credit to the community members who help us make better games and better updates.
Okay, so when you say full credit, what does that mean? Like, do you just put them in the credits, or how does that work?
Exactly, full credit in the credits themselves, and they are the ones who we send them swag, T-shirts, stickers of the company.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So do you kind of, like, if somebody requests, I don't know, like add more balls or something like you just mentioned, do you need to hear that a few times, or is it just kind of like you said, you just take it to the team and see how much effort and time and whatnot, or is there sometimes like you get this big request by maybe like 10 or 20 people and you're like, well, we should probably add it because we keep getting the same request, or is it just a little bit of a juggling kind of balancing act?
No, most of the changes and the features we're adding, it's because it's a repetitive request. It's a repetitive suggestion.
Okay.
At this point of time, the communication is between us and the individual user. There are no communication between themselves, except for the ones who are a part of the community, and sometimes they come up with idea by themselves and suggest them to us. I should mention that there's even one example of a guy who even composed a new soundtrack to one of the games.
Really?
So we created a whole new character around him. We created a character for him.
That's awesome. I love the community involvement, right? And getting, your users and the fans of your games. You almost in some ways pay tribute to their loyalty. If that's a good way of putting it.
It's exactly that. It's like I said, it all starts and ends with the users themselves.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm kind of curious, you obviously have, a bunch of games going on. Is there anything that you want to mention that you're going to be launching in the near future that people can, start getting excited about?
So we are launching new games every other week, let's say 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
You can first of all go to the website poa-media.com and register to the newsletter and get updates on the new games and new updates.
Okay.
But I do want to mention that we have a couple of games in our sleeves. Very, very interesting games. We're really excited about them, whether it's a puzzle game, a new runner game, a casual game. And we try to innovate all the time. And we try to change ourselves all the time to create new, exciting games to the community.
Sure. No, I think that's awesome. And so just go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, and then people can look out for those up and coming releases.
Yeah, and they can even join our community, by the way, in the website.
Okay. So outside of kind of providing feedback and becoming maybe a beta tester and hopefully one day maybe being a trusted person that you could alpha test, is there any other benefits to kind of joining your guys' community?
Yes, you can be a part of creating. Be a part of creating. You can be a part of the game industry, even you're not in the game industry. You can feel. You can understand the challenges that we're facing. Help us in different with different problems we're facing. Whether to use this icon, this character, should we do this or that? And most importantly, it's to be a part of something big. It's to know and see by yourself that you help to create better games.
Sure. No, I think that's awesome. So we're kind of coming to the end of this, Ben, and it's been super interesting. And I think a lot of people are, kind of maybe dabbling in this space a little bit. Is there any kind of advice that you'd give to kind of aspiring game developers, things that you maybe learned along the way, or kind of do's and don'ts that you'd recommend to people just kind of starting out?
This is a very, very challenging question to be honest, because
All right.
the gaming industry is one of the most challenging industry out there.
Sure.
It's very, even though there are very strict formulas how to create the best game, you hear usually about the only 1% who did succeed and not the 99% who failed along the way.
Sure.
I think that eventually is trying, when you create your own game or whether joining a big company, try to find a place that really, where you can unleash your creativity, where you can really have an impact on the game. And this is what we're trying to do here in the team. And this is what we're trying to do with the community. Because it's not only one decision maker that decides whether a game will succeed. It's usually a bunch of people, and every voice counts. And we really encourage it here in our organization, at least.
No, I think that's really good advice. So you guys are on Android, you guys are on iOS. Any plans to move to other platforms, or it just doesn't make sense for you guys?
You might guess, as I said, I'm a machead, and
Sure.
we do plan to go to Apple TV.
Oh, very cool.
As the next platform. But beside that, we think that the mobile space, for the time being, is the winning space.
No, I 100% agree, and it makes a lot of sense for you guys to go to the Apple TV, and maybe if Google ever gets around to sorting out their TV space, I know like the Chromecast does kind of well, and they launched the Nexus player and whatnot, but the uptake on that stuff hasn't been big enough that it probably doesn't even make sense for you guys to really move into that market.
Which market? The virtual reality?
No, sorry, the like Google's kind of TV play. Their markets are too small. I guess I was curious. Maybe at some point you'd move into kind of the VR space. Maybe.
To be honest, I know that everybody thinks they might be right, but for the time being, I'm a bit skeptic. Not if it will succeed. It's just the time.
Sure.
How long it will take to really pick up.
Sure, it's pretty early on.
Yes, and I prefer to stick with the mobile and maybe on a later stage to move to virtual reality.
No, that I think that's really good advice, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And I actually like the fact that you basically have these markets defined, you have these platforms, and they're working for you, and you'll move to them if they make sense at some point in the future. And there's no point in just kind of trying to be everywhere and supporting everything, because the more platforms you're on, the harder it is to support everything, right?
Exactly.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So, Ben, we're kind of running out of time. Maybe let's close the show with kind of again mentioning where people can find you guys on the App Store and the Play Store, and online, and any other social media you want to mention.
So you can find everything in our website. It's poa-media.com, where you can join the community, become a beta tester, get our newsletter, see all of our games, check our different social media channels. And if you want to check our games directly on your phone, whether Safari for iOS or Chrome for Android, just type in playpoa.co.
Perfect, Ben. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this and be on the show. And, I wish you guys continued success, because you guys have already had tons of success. And I look forward to, playing your up-and-coming games and following you guys throughout the rest of the year and beyond.
And thank you very much, Kevin, for this opportunity. And I hope that it went well.
No, it was awesome. I'll let you guys go, but thanks again for doing this, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. The music for the show is done by Electric Mantra. You can check him out at electricmantra.com. Until next time, keep building the future.